Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the Red Mist podcast with me, Seshadri, and welcome to the post-match episode. Yay! Of Everton 2, Liverpool nil. Yes, you can see how thrilled I am to do this episode. I'm actually recording this on the next day, which it's a good thing because I was fuming yesterday after the game for a variety of reasons, and I'll get into all of them a little bit. But thank God. Thank God. I'm not doing a raw reactions for Everton versus Liverpool because, frankly speaking, my raw reactions were really raw. They lived up to their name, let's say. It would not have been suitable for a podcast episode because I would have been shouting, ranting. There would have been no control, and I'm not going to promise a lot of control today, but I will have some degree of control, some degree of sanity in this episode. So without further ado, let's just get right to it. Everton won 2-0 at Anfield for the first time since 1999. So 22 years, and they record their first win in a Merseyside derby against us. 11 years since their last win, and that was at Goodison Park, and 22 years since their first win at Anfield. So obviously a big day for Everton. Congratulations to them. And to be fair, their performance wasn't bad, and some of their players played really well. I thought Tom Davies was probably the best midfielder on the field. Jordan Pickford had an amazing game. I think overall they did really well. Mason Holgate, I thought, did really well. Ben Godfrey had a decent game as well. Michael Keane had some key moments. Andre Gomez looked good. Lucas Digne was very threatening down that left hand side. I thought Everton as a whole played really well, so I can't say it's an undeserved win for them. But let's get down to Liverpool, right? Let's start with the lineups. A very expected lineup, no surprises there. I think the only thing that I might have been surprised was the fact that Naby Keita wasn't playing, especially considering he was on the bench. He was fit enough to play. A little bit of a surprise there, but again, it would have been his first competitive fixture in a long while, so can understand why Klopp didn't want to bring him on and throw him into a Merseyside derby the first thing. Do I think he would have made a difference? Possibly. I think he definitely has the elements to make a difference. Whether he would have is another question. But he definitely would have presented us with a better alternative than Curtis Jones, whom I thought was quite bad in this game. Now, let's talk about, going into the game, I was kind of optimistic because I think the Leipzig performance, now I'm not going to say it was 100% Liverpool. Like I said, I thought we could have done better. I think I said it on the podcast after the Leipzig game as well. I thought we could have done better, but at least it had semblance to what Liverpool should look like when they play. So I thought maybe that was a turning point. Maybe that was a good reset button, which also happened to be the title for my podcast episode last time. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. It was the going back to the old ways again, just as soon as we hit the Premier League, and this time the opponent was Everton. So let's start with the first goal. Richarlison scores for Everton, obviously. Defensive mistake from Ozan Kabak. Now, in the Leicester game, I was very kind on him. I said, he was not at fault. I mean, he had a little bit of culpability when it came to Harvey Barnes' goal, but definitely not for the goal that Alisson sort of messed up. Definitely not for the Jamie Vardy goal. But this was all on Kabak. He was facing Richarlison, which is what I don't understand, because as a defender, you're facing a striker. Like, I know your eyes are on the ball, which is sort of in front of you, but out of the corner of your eye, you can see Richarlison. It would have been a different case had he been facing the other way, but this guy was facing in the same direction. His body was positioned well to see that he was facing Richarlison, like even though he was looking forward. So out of the corner of his eye, he could have seen Richarlison making that run. And that's the most obvious run a striker can make. Even as a defender, you're taught that one of the things that you have to look for is if you're facing in one direction, if your body's positioned towards one direction, let's say the right side of the field, the most dangerous run a striker can make is from your right side to your left side, which is exactly what Richarlison did in that play that led to the goal. It was an easy. Once Richarlison got, Richarlison has the pace. Let's face it. And once Richarlison got past, I think it was a really good finish because I think Alisson had most of the goal covered by coming forward. I think Richarlison picked out the one sort of niche where Alisson could not have covered it. I thought once he got past Kabak, it took a good finish. Let's be real, but the fact is, it was a defensive error to start the game. Not the ideal way you want to start your home debut. Not the ideal way you want to start a Merseyside derby on top of it. So Everton up early 1-0. I thought our midfield was terrible after that. I thought we played okay, but I thought Everton were the better team. Definitely at no point, um, except maybe the second half, the start of the second half, at no point did I think Liverpool were the better team when compared to Everton. So that really hurts because I look, it's not it's not ideal. It's not ideal to have a midfield playing so badly in a game of this importance. I thought everyone, Thiago, Gini, and Curtis had bad games. We definitely miss Henderson. These are the kind of games where Henderson can sort of take them by the scruff of the neck as a leader, as a midfielder as well. Even our first sort of major chance that I can remember, and I know it's about 24 hours since the game has happened, so I might miss a few. But the first major chance that I can really remember was Henderson's shot, which Pickford, got fingertips to. I thought that was a very good controlled volley from Jordan, and the other Jordan on the field happened to save it, which is that was the first of, I guess, a long night of very good saves. Yeah, I mean, look, let's just take stock here. Our midfield has not been performing for many games. Let's not kid around. I mean, they played well in Europe, I thought, but in midweek against Leipzig. But overall, we've just been terrible. Like, there's just been no sense of intent, no sense of creativity, no urgency at times. When we're down 1-0, there's no urgency to find an equalizer. There's no this like our midfield is supposed to control the tempo, and I don't see this team doing that. And I don't see the three. No, and at this point, it's become no matter who the three we play, whether it's James Milner there, Alex Oxlade Chamberlain, Curtis Jones, Naby Keita's. I don't know. He's in the hospital, so I can't. He spent most of the season in the hospital, so can't really blame him for that. I can blame him for other things, for example, spending most of the season in a hospital. But as far as the midfield play goes, we've not really controlled the tempo, except when Shaqiri's come on. Shaqiri has literally been, I think, the only player who has looked good when he's come on. And I'm not saying he's had exceptional games, but he's looked good. And he looked like he wants to get things done. Even yesterday, he came on and he looked like he wanted to get things done. And to me, that in itself is going to be step one in the downfall of teams, because if your midfield is not controlling the tempo, is not even making an attempt to control the tempo, there's going to be no point. I mean, you can't rely on your fullbacks game in game out, and I've said this throughout the season. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And you can't rely on your fullbacks all season long to keep creating, and especially when they've done so for 2 years and teams have figured out how to defend it for 2 years now. What I will also say is, our midfield was bad. I've already touched upon that. Our defense, I think overall first half we looked okay. Like we weren't bad, but we weren't great either. And I thought we needed to show more heart. I think at this point it's just come down to effort. And at the start of this podcast, at some point, I don't remember which episode exactly, but it was quite towards the beginning, I had said I would never doubt the commitment of these players. I would never doubt the effort of these players, and I'm not doubting the fact that they want to put in 100%. But the fact is that desire is not translating to performance on the pitch, to even work rate on the pitch. Like, it's just not the stuff that defined Liverpool is just not there right now. And I know some of it can be put down to injuries and this and just the bad run that we've been on. The morale's down. It's hard to be part of a losing team. And I've been, obviously I've done it on an amateur level, but it's hard to be part of a losing team. It's easier to be part of a winning team. It's easier where things get smoothed over when you're winning. And when you're losing, it can just feel like you're in a rut, and it's just game after game you go in thinking, oh god, I hope we can get a draw out of this one. And I just when it just becomes a case of when will it stop, and that's what it's becoming for Liverpool at this point. Um the rest of the first half, I thought we were okay. I mean, not great. Definitely Everton were the better team. Tom Davies looked unbelievable. I thought Pickford did really well. The defense was good. We didn't really trouble them either. I think that's part of the problem. We looked bereft of ideas as well. And then the second goal and the second half in general, I thought, let's start with the second half. We started out really well. I thought we played extremely well. I thought we did a good job. Just kind of coming out with intent, coming out and saying, okay, we're the defending champions. We're in a Merseyside derby. We're not going to let this slip out of our hands. And we did well. I thought we showed intent. I thought we showed character. That's a nice throwback to Brendan Rodgers. But I really thought we showed character, and I really thought we could pull it off. I really thought we could get that one goal. But somehow, even when we dominated the ball for those first 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was, I didn't. There were times I didn't feel like we had a grip on it. Like last season and even the season before that, when Man City won the league, I felt like we would go into games and we'd just take them by the scruff of the neck and we'd hold opponents with our hands on their throat, backs against the wall, and we would just keep pressurizing them until they gave up. And I know that's a very gruesome image to process for some people, but that's kind of how it felt watching Liverpool play. But right now, there's no decisiveness, there's no incisiveness, there's just no intent. And I keep coming back to that word. I keep coming back to intent because there's just none of it. I don't see it. The last two seasons, after having seen what Liverpool can do, this is such a letdown. And I know we've had injuries, and I know there's a lot of issues that go into this, but and it's not as simple as saying, okay, we're playing badly, but the truth is we are playing badly. you know the 11 players that you put out on the pitch, they're just bad. They're just playing really badly. And we can talk injuries all you want for defense, and maybe that affects the midfield, but the front three have been quite bad. Apart from Mohamed Salah, who's, I've when I did my mid-season team of the year, I said, he's had the goals, but he's not really had the performances. But even that has picked up now. He's really starting to perform. Like the problem is he doesn't get a lot of service to perform with. He doesn't get a lot of assistance to perform with. But even yesterday, the one good chance, the one really good chance we had, aside from Henderson's volley, was Mo Salah being put through with, after that little 1-2 with Shaqiri. And he's even his performances have picked up. So if I was to do the same team of the year episode right now, I would definitely take out one of either Son or Harry Kane, probably Son, and put Mo Salah in there. So yeah, for me, I think easily Mo Salah has been our best player this season. Obviously for the goals, but right now even his play is picking up. So the other two, from Bobby Firmino and Sadio Mane, they've been getting away with a lot of this. And I've criticized Firmino, but I think it's time we've got to get to Sadio Mane as well. Like he is he. He's just getting away with a lot of it. He's not contributed anything meaningful in a while, whether it's to assists or to goals. I don't think since the Crystal Palace game, at least. Um, I mean, aside from Leipzig, let's leave Leipzig alone. But in the Premier League is what I mean. He's not contributed much there, and even including the Leipzig game, he's not done much. Like I think it's just one goal in like how many ever games since the Crystal Palace game. But for me, that's just not enough. Like these guys, I don't know whether it's fatigue. I don't know whether it is. I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is. Have they lost motivation? Have we got the second season syndrome? And I know people have always said, winning the title once is easy, but winning it again is really, really hard. And look, it's not. It's, I guess, an unwritten fact. It's, I guess, an untested hypothesis, if you will. But the fact is, the evidence is there to see. It's very hard to retain a title, and you can clearly see it now. What with the injuries and stuff that Liverpool have, but also just there's just no. It's like these guys have given up on the season, and I just don't like that. Like, okay, maybe the title's not gonna happen. I think maybe we knew that a couple of weeks ago, but top four is still up for grabs, and that is very, very important because even if you're not winning the title, if you're in the Champions League, that makes a huge difference. That we need that. We need the Champions League because without the Champions League, we're not going to attract anyone new. And if we're not going to attract anyone new, it's very hard to strengthen the team. So, yeah, I don't know if these guys, I know I'm all over the place with this episode, but it's just, I'm, I'm just at a loss. I'm just speechless. I'm at a loss for words to describe what is going wrong because fact of the matter is, despite all of this, the 11 players on the pitch are not performing week in, week out. Now, the second goal itself, let's get to the second goal. I don't know how that's a penalty. And I was fuming at the referee yesterday, and I'll be very honest, England is very lucky. These referees are not judges in the court of law, because they would look at video evidence for less than a second and decide that the defendant who murdered his victim in broad daylight in front of 100 witnesses was not committing a clear and obvious error. So he would be scot free. So yeah, that's just, that's how I look at it. These English referees, I've ranted about them in the past. I don't justify the death threats that my team got. I don't justify things like that. But what I will say is this: I don't understand. I mean, Trent's gone sliding in. Calvert Lewin's, he shot the ball. It's a good few seconds after. It's a good 1 or 2 seconds at least after Trent slid. I don't know what Trent is supposed to do there. Like, I just don't understand how that is a penalty. Like, what is he supposed to do? He's not he's not an Olympic gymnast for him to see Calvert Lewin coming and contort his body in such a way that Calvert Lewin does not hit him. Like, he shot the ball. Calvert Lewin's taken a step or two after that and then tripped over Trent. Like, and the fact that Chris Kavanagh did not even look at it for like, it's just unbelievable. And I'll be very honest. Um, Liverpool have had more bad decisions given against us, and the exact number is 11, I think. More wrong decisions given against us through VAR, including yesterday, and it's cost us more points than any other team in the league. There's a clear bias against Liverpool. There is a clear bias, and I've refrained from saying that all this time, but there is a clear bias. I'm not going to say they favor Man United or they favor Man City or whatever, but there is a clear bias against Liverpool. And I don't know what that is. I don't know why that is, but just the way the referees acted in the two Merseyside derbies. The first one with Sadio Mane and Jordan Pickford, and the second one yesterday with the penalty. Now, I'm not saying Everton didn't deserve the win or that, that decision cost us the win, but just look at how bad that decision was. He looked at the monitor for less than 2 seconds. I just don't understand how you can come to a decision about clear and obvious by looking at it less than 2 seconds. Although, to be fair, my team came to a ridiculous decision after having looked at it 20 odd times. So I don't know which way to go. I just think the ideal solution would be to sack everyone that is a referee right now in the Premier League and actually get some new faces who know what they're doing, or maybe get some from Europe because they know what they're doing. But anyway, I mean, I'll just say this: if this was the standard of work that was being done in any other sector in the world, these guys would have been fired. These guys who are referees would have been fired. Any other organization in the world, you can't do such a sloppy job so many times week in, week out. This week it was Liverpool. I don't know which team's going to get caught out next week. A couple of weeks ago it was West Ham. A couple of weeks before that it was Man United, Tottenham. Every team's been through this. Liverpool may have had the most of it, and I'm stressing, I'm not using this as a justification for what's happened. But what I will say is this is ridiculous. This Just how bad are these referees? Just how pathetic are these referees? I've seen better refereeing in Sunday league games than this. Honestly. But that again does not exclude the fact that we played badly or that Everton played well. I thought Pickford had a wonderful game, and my man of the match would have gone to Tom Davis. I thought he was all over the pitch, just defensively, offensively, he was doing really well. Richarlison was causing us problems. Yeah, I thought Everton as a whole deserved the win, but I mean, where do I even begin? I mean, the end of the season's coming up, and I'll obviously have an end of the season episode where I discuss what's gone wrong and things like that this season. But just like, concerning yesterday's game, I thought we were just pathetic. I thought we showed no life, no intent. It was lethargic. It was fecal football. That's what I called it yesterday on my Instagram. Instagram. I just called it fecal football because that's exactly what it was. It was so bad. I mean, and right now there's no excuse. We're just in a rut. We're just in a bad slump, and I don't know how we're going to get out of it. Honestly, I thought Europe would be the reset button we needed. Clearly not. Um, I don't even know what fixture we've got coming up next. That's because honestly, the team that we are playing next, I wouldn't be surprised you know if we lost to them, whoever it is. And I'm just googling right now to see who it is, and it's Sheffield United. And honestly, they've been better since we last played them. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Sheffield suddenly came away with a win. That's just, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. And I know they've lost the last three and they're in pure relegation form, but so are we, to be honest. Let's be real. So are we. It's an away game, so that gives me a little bit of hope. The fact that we're playing away and outside of Anfield, so that's a little bit of hope, but not too much either. But just for comparison, just to sort of end this video, I'll just leave you with this. This is the kind of form that had people questioning Mikel Arteta's job. This is the kind of form that had people saying Mikel Arteta does not deserve to be at Arsenal. So, and I know they stuck with him, and I'm pretty sure FSG would be stupid to sack Jurgen Klopp because they have their part in this as well. And I know they're not responsible for the players on the pitch and whatever, but they have their part in an indirect way. So I'm not going to sit here and say everything's on Klopp and the players. The owners have responsibility as well. We're basically becoming Arsenal, pretty much. I mean, our form's as bad as theirs. Our owners are as bad as theirs. Our players are not playing with any sort of life. Yeah, we're pretty much becoming as bad as Arsenal. And right now we are sixth in the table, but Everton has a game in hand and they're level on points with us. Aston Villa has 2 games in hand and they're just 4 points behind. Tottenham, I think, are the only team that can't actually overtake us because they've got 1 game in hand and they're 4 points behind, but they can come to within a point if they do win their next fixture. But yeah, it's just all in all, it's just been a pretty terrible game, pretty terrible season in a lot of respects. And this last game against Everton was no exception. Honestly, at this point, I think we have a better chance of qualifying for the Champions League by winning the Champions League than actually finishing in the top four. But you never know. There's still about 13 games left to the end of the season. Time's running out, that's for sure. And we do need to buck up. We do need to get our act together, get some wins together, string some wins, just try and get some sort of form to make a push for the top four. It doesn't help that we've got unexpected teams like West Ham challenging for the top four. So, yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't even know what to say at this point. But we'll see what the future holds. Obviously, we need the top four. Even fourth place is fine right now. I've honestly given up hopes on us overtaking either of the two Manchester teams at this point. But yeah, it is what it is. That being said, that is the end of today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Clearly, I did not enjoy doing this episode for obvious reasons. But hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to it. Hopefully you guys share some of the feelings that I have about Liverpool, about the game in general. And yeah, I guess wherever you are, have a great day, have a great week. And I will see you guys next time for the game against Sheffield United. But until then, take care and goodbye.